Good after everyone. Now it's 2 o'clock to start the session, formally start the session. Otherwise, we had a chit chat with our honorable ambassadors here. So, I, Anamika Pandey, welcome all of you for the valedictory session of our 5 days EFDP, Global EFDP, on unleashing research potential, global trends and practices. So it's a fifth day and the last day for all of us. Uh, so it gives us the immense pleasure to welcome all of you on the behalf of International Relations Office and Galgotias University. And for the valedictory session, today we have with us our distinguished chief guest, Honorable Ambassador of India to Ireland, Mr. Akhilesh Mishra. And this FDP was aimed to enhance the academic writing skills as well as the visibility of one's research work, because it's very important for all the academicians, all the research scholars, not only to conduct the research, but also to publish it. And many a times, very good researchers, in spite of intense knowledge, they are not able to show their work to the world. So it's important what are the nitty-gritty of good academic writing so that it gets published and visible to the world, and world could also recognize their work. So with this aim, the session started on the first day. The first day session were focused on writing quality research papers, which included empirical and writing review papers. So the session speakers focused on how to prepare quality manuscript and how to structure the content using some latest technology and the software and the techniques so that it gets accepted by the highly reputed high indexed journals. The second day, then we moved on publishing process. Publishing because, yes, targeting a good journal, that's a very important part, because there is a long list in Scopus. Yes, this is a Scopus Index journal. And then once the researcher publish it and the next year they find, oh, the journal is missing. So how to target a good journal so that this publication has value in future as well. So yes, publishing includes targeting research journals, which level of grammar and style has to be used so that it gets accepted easily by the good journals. And then third day we focus on books. Books is the another important part apart from this research papers. So how to write book proposal, edited books as well as authored book, because in one of the session speaker, one participant has asked, okay, I have written many books, but how to get acceptance by the Springer? What are the path? What to do it? How to structure the content? So the focus was on do's and don'ts of writing effective book proposals, how to source the publishing house for submission of this book proposal so that it gets accepted. And these days, many of the edited book are Scopus indexed or IEEE Explorer indexed once it is being published. It takes time. It takes time, 6 months or 4 months to get Scopus indexed. But yes, the book should have certain values. What should be the content? Then fourth day, the session was elaborated to funded project. Like sir has said, okay, we are here collaborating and targeting some of the institutions and schools. So same for the funded project. It is not at the national level, but for the international level, how we can collaborate, how we can get the funded projects or sponsorship for our project. So yes, speakers has very well explained, and they were very well appreciated as well. By our participants. Okay, this is the path and how we can one can move ahead to write funded project as well as get the sponsorship. So these were the four days journey, and morning session was taken by our one of the organizer, Professor Bala Morgan, because he has many edited book and authored book as well. more than 150, I would say. So we requested sir to take one session. So he also explained all the participants how to write the book proposal. Because yes, book proposal and book publication is one of the important factor, although it was explained by some of the internal. But here we also requested him, so he took the session. Now we are reaching to the end. So we requested our ambassador sir to join this session and address and what is going on in Ireland. So he can just throw some light on it. So first of all, his introduction is required to all the participants. And I thanks all the participants for joining us from last 4 days and taking time to attend these sessions. So introduction would be given by our one of the professor, Dr. Vandana Sharma. So I request Vandana Sharma to introduce our ambassador, sir. Vandana Sharma.
Namaskar, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. I would like to introduce Akhilesh Mishra, sir, our honorable chief guest for today's session and Ambassador of India to Ireland. Ambassador Akhilesh Mishra arrived in Dublin on 6th October 2021. Ambassador Mishra is a career diplomat. He belongs to the Indian Foreign Service and has over 3 decades of rich experience in the entire gamut of Indian diplomacy, covering political, security, and geostrategic affairs, economic and commercial, investment and technology issues, education, research and innovation, cultural and soft power engagements, Indian diaspora, and India's development partnership with other countries. Before joining, our honorable guest was embassy in Dublin and was deployed in the Ministry of External Affairs as officer on special duty, political, from July to October 2021, and head of Development Partnership Administration, dealing with India's official development assistance and dialogue on international development issues from February 2020 to July 2021. Earlier, Sir was Director General of the Indian Council of Cultural Relations, New Delhi, from February 2019 to February 2020. His previous assignments as the head of mission post division include Ambassador of India to Maldives from the period of 2016 to 19, and Consul General of India in Toronto for a period of 2013 to 16. Also, Joint Secretary, Head of Division in the Ministry of External Affairs, dealing with India's relation with Nepal and Bhutan during 2011 and 13, and Joint Secretary in charge of Multilateral Economic Relations Division 2010-11. Ambassador Mishra's other assignments were Deputy Chief of Mission in Kabul, Afghanistan for a period of 2008 to 10, then Deputy High Commissioner, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania 2005-8, Deputy Consul General in San Francisco, USA 2001 and 5, Deputy Secretary General dealing with Bangladesh in the Ministry of External Affairs, New Delhi, for a period of 1999 to 2001, and in different capacities in Indian embassies in Kathmandu, Nepal, Rome, Italy, Lima, and Peru. Our honorable guest has also speaks Spanish, Italian, Nepalese, and known among Indian languages like Hindi, Sanskrit, besides English. Ambassador Mishra holds the degree of Bachelor's of Technology and Master's of Technology, both from the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology and Banaras Hindu University, BHU, and was the topper and gold medalist in both, securing a record of 10.0 cumulative grade point average in MTech. He belongs to Varanasi. one of the holiest and most ancient historical and cultural living cities of India. Besides international affairs, Ambassador Mishra has keen interest in Indian culture, especially Sanskrit, Vedic, and classical literature, Hindi and Urdu poetry, spirituality, yoga, and meditation. Ambassador Mishra is married to Mrs. Reeti Mishra and has two children, a Spanish and an Italian speaker. Mrs. Mishra has been actively involved in cultural, social, and charity initiatives as a part of diplomatic counselor, spouses groups abroad. She is a motivational speaker, yoga enthusiast, and proponent of Indian handicrafts, textiles, traditional arts, and poetry. We are very enlightened to have you here, sir. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. One more time from on behalf of Galgotias University. Thank you so much, sir. I would request now our honorable guest to speak few words and enlighten our audience. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you.
Namaskar, my very warm greetings from beautiful Dublin, Ireland. Friends, let me begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to Vandana Sharma ji for generous introduction and Anambika Pandey ji for hosting me, and Professor Bala Murugan ji, who had been coordinating with me this program. Friends, I really applaud Honorable Vice Chancellor of Galgotias University and her very dynamic team for choosing this year's theme on the research and innovation. This is very, very important and topical for India, particularly the given contemporary context and backdrop. I wish to flag 2 points as a matter of the context. First is the unprecedented severity and spread and shocking impact of the corona pandemic has brought to the fore a number of painful questions about the very fundamentals of modern society and our life. We are now aware that not only the economics is deeply intertwined at the global level, but in fact, no aspect of life, even within the individual nation states, can be conceived in isolation. Our health and well-being, entertainment, social interaction are all influenced by developments in other parts of the world, any part of the world. Also, in post-corona world, it is very clear that collectively as a nation, we need to be more nimble, agile, flexible, creative, and innovative to cope with unprecedented challenges and also take advantage of enormous unprecedented opportunities arising before us. As we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of India's independence, this is also a moment for us not only just to rejoice our successes, but also to deeply introspect and learn lessons from the past 75 years. And think about the trajectory of our national growth as a society for the next 25 years. And it is also clear that mere business as usual extrapolation of the past 75 years will not help us, because the coming decades are going to be even more fluid, and we need to be dealing with a lot more complex issues. Therefore, India needs out-of-the-box innovative solutions for its unique challenges and complexities. Second issue is, friends, that over time, there has been such massive growth of consciousness about the disastrous consequences of post-industrialization economic development model, which was premised on maximizing production and maximizing consumption. That became the hallmark of success. And what kind of disastrous impact it had on the health of Mother Earth, now it's very, very palpable for all of us. And also, it is clear that India cannot just follow the American or European or Chinese model of socio-economic development. It is not just the issue of public opinion or expectation or international commitment under COP or climate change negotiations, but also India's own assessment of our national self-interest. India's population density is very high, and also India is extremely vulnerable to climate change. India is at such a juncture in its urbanization process that we are going to face complexity of and magnitude of issues which the human civilization has not seen. Just to flag this issue, our current urbanization ratio is only about 30%. And by 2050, we are expecting 50% urbanization. What does it mean? About 400 million will be added to urban areas in the next 3 decades. By 2030, India will have 68 cities with million plus population compared to 42 cities with million plus population currently. We need innovative technological solutions which are sustainable, which are eco-friendly, and a collaborative, multi-pronged approach which is innovative. It can't be just business as usual approach. And we are very fortunate that in India we have a very visionary, tech-savvy Prime Minister whose ethos of socio-economic development is premised on use of technology and use of innovative solutions, innovative ideas. If we look at the bigger picture of what is happening under Prime Minister Modi's regime, we find that there is a overarching, unified and unifying pattern in Prime Minister Modi's multi-sectoral development initiatives, which is far more significant to me than the pace of execution and growth rate itself. There has been a paradigm shift in the development strategy. It is no longer the old trickle-down model, but bottom-up growth, including the mainstreaming of the bottom of the development pyramid. The thrust is on social equity through empowering and enabling youth potential economic and industrial development, not passive recipients of charity. And if you look at the Jeevan Bima Yojana or PM Suraksha Yojana or Atal Pension Yojana or Mudra Yojana or credit schemes for women and self-help groups and the Jan Dhan bank account opening and the use of Trinity UID and mobile telephony, so these have transformed India beyond recognition. And also how the people of India and the government of India dealt with the unprecedented corona crisis and administering about 1.8 billion doses of vaccines. This would not have been possible by the stereotypical business as usual model. And innovation has played a very critical role. And again, under Prime Minister Modi, there is a very strong focus on nurturing spirit of innovation and spirit of research, spirit of creativity. And that is the ethos behind the launch of National Education Policy of 2020, which is about reimagining the future of education. It has to be a comprehensive view covering elementary to higher education. And it sets a visionary framework for future-focused, equitable approach. Equity and equality are given due importance, and also the importance on Indian languages and local cultural traditional knowledge. They have been given due attention. Also, as we are discussing with Lukmaji, that the need of the hour is a greater integration with the global education system. This is very important, and we have to keep the benchmarking global. There is an explicit focus in the National Education Policy 2020 on experiential learning and critical thinking. India is also looking at a single regulator, which makes the process of the entire process of revamping, reimagining our education system, restructuring our education system, an easy process. Friends, I have also been a teacher before joining Foreign Service, and I also am a proud son of professor myself. So let me share as an elder some thoughts to our younger teachers. First message, my friends, is that be proud of the role that you have chosen for yourself. It is not an ordinary vocation or a job, but a unique honor, special privilege, and also responsibility to build the future of the country and produce the youth of caliber and character who will shape not only India's future, but the future of the world. This is particularly critical because India's demographics is a very historical juncture. Currently, we have about 50% of population under 25 years and 2/3 of our population under 35 years, about 500 million people in the education age group, 5 years to 24 years. So it is up to you, my friends, to provide the relevant skills and human qualities to our youth so that they play a role commensurate with their true potential and creative energy. Secondly, the future will be shaped and dominated by the power of ideas and knowledge, more than material wealth or physical power. Increasingly, we will need to acquire and apply multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary knowledge. Therefore, the narrow, segmented, and parochial approach to skill development and research and development will not work. And criticality of teamwork and team spirit will be ever more pronounced in the years to come. Third, we have to maintain and observe global standards and benchmarks and need to remain vigilant to global developments and trends. And this requires constant learning, constant relearning, and sharing, exchange of ideas and wisdom. Fourth, you are very fortunate that you have opportunities before you which were not existing in the past. Given the growing profile of India under Prime Minister Modi, there is a far greater willingness, in fact, eagerness in the rest of the world to engage with India and work with India. You can recall, some of you may recall that in the past, India was victim of unfair tech denial regimes and policies driven by the Cold War mentality. Most of them are now behind us. Similarly, the personal vision and mission of a tech-savvy Prime Minister is opening up unprecedented opportunities within the country. The focus on youth entrepreneurship and innovation and startup is already showing the results. India has become the third largest cluster of startup companies, third largest number of unicorns. And last year itself, we had 42 new unicorns created. And you can see today we have far more convenient, conducive regulatory framework and incentives for R&D than we had any time in the past. There is ease of compliance, there is ease of raising resources, and government is proactively reaching out to young entrepreneurs and scholars and researchers to help them and provide them the enabling environment and support physically directly. Fifth, friends, as teachers, you have a tremendous responsibility to inculcate the habit of research, innovation, critical thinking among students, so that they become not just creators of incremental knowledge, but they become like transformational change instruments. Sixth, friends, under Prime Minister Modi, we are learning how to work as a government as a whole. And different line ministries are now breaking barriers and silos and working across and consulting far more closely. And same with us, embassies abroad. We are now far closely, intimately involved with all ministries than we had been any time in the past. And in fact, Honorable Modi ji has given us 3 specific tasks as embassies to promote trade, technology, and tourism. And our performance will be judged by how the embassies and Ministry of External Affairs will be judged, how we perform on these 3 T's. And therefore, even in my own self-interest, I place myself at your disposal. Students and faculty exchanges and twinning arrangements and development of new courses, continuing education of faculty and nurturing of ecosystem of innovation and incubation hubs. I think there are a lot of opportunities for India and Ireland to work together. Let me mention about Ireland's miraculous transformation as a knowledge-based, tech-driven society. It's a country of just 5 million population and about 2.5 million workforce, but it has a GDP of around $500 billion and 165 billion euros in export in goods and 204 billion euros of exports in services. So it's a deep engagement. Also, the economic reforms of Ireland were launched in 1960s, and it has created a very, very convenient, very attractive investment framework with very low corporate tax, around 12.5%, and also very high skill sets. And in the short period of time, Ireland has become the biggest per capita technology hub. It is home to about 1,700 multinational companies and Intel, Yahoo, Adobe, Microsoft, HP, Apple, Google, Amazon, LinkedIn, eBay, Twitter. All of them have a kind of headquarter, the global headquarter or European headquarter. 9 out of 10 ICT companies are based here. 13 out of 15 top medtech companies have headquarters here. 9 out of 10 top pharma companies are active here. Aviation is a mega area. 40% of is worldwide are handled here. And also Ireland has an ecosystem in startups and seed development funding and incubators and accelerators and venture capitalist funding. There is a very, very fascinating ecosystem which is concentrated in a small area of Ireland. Startups account for about 2/3 of new jobs creation in Ireland. And in a country of just 5 million people, Ireland has 6 unicorns, and 2 unicorns were created just in January 2022. Also, for my friends who are connected with this program, I can mention that highest success rate in European Union for startups is in Ireland. Here we have 16-17% success rate compared to the European average success rate in startups is about 6 to 7%. It's only about 1 to 2% startup success rate in India. Also, the way Ireland has become a mega manufacturing hub in technology sector, particularly biopharma, electronics, medtech, food technologies. So I think we have a lot to learn from each other. Friends, before I end, let me also briefly touch upon the ethos of Indian culture and its connection with the contemporary and modern research. In India, as you know, friends, the key concept is that all our sufferings are because of ignorance. It's only because of our ignorance that we tend to make reckless, thoughtless choices and consequently suffer. And therefore, the key to happiness and well-being is understanding the root of suffering itself. And the root of suffering is, as the Upanishads say, Yo vai bhuma tat sukham nalpe sukhamasti. Yad alpam tan martyam Nalpe sukhamasti. What is smallness, finiteness, parochial, selfish approach? That is root cause of all suffering. Focus on I, me, mine is inevitable cause of suffering. That is why our rishis, our Vedas, Upanishads strongly advocated on a broad, infinite, universal, inclusive vision of self, encompassing not only the human being, but also animals, birds, plants, even inanimate bodies, which constitute our common cosmic abode. Vishwam Bhavatyeka Nidam, the entire universe becomes as one single abode. And that is why the Indian ethos has always encouraged a comprehensive, multi-sectoral, integrated view of knowledge. Unlike the Western knowledge, where you see knowledge compartments, either you see physics, chemistry, and astronomy, and economics and ecology, so you all disjointed. Treating knowledge as one single whole, and always be conscious of the multitude of web-like connectivities on which is based. So there is no conflict between economy and ecology, and conflict between man and men and women, and man and nature. There is all, and also tension within us, the world within in our human being and world outside. So that integrated holistic view of the world, the life, that is the key essence of Indian knowledge. And this is extremely relevant today, as we are now conscious of the disastrous consequences of following a very parochial, segmented approach to research and development. We are very proud, very privileged that under Prime Minister Modi, for the first time in independent India, we have a leader who attaches primacy and centrality to Indian culture. And he is actually imbibing, absorbing those values, those philosophical values and Indian ethos, not only in field of culture, not only in field of international relations, but also in the national development itself. And that is what explains his motto of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. This really echoes the Vedic mantra, Sangachadhvam, Samvadadhvam, Samvo Manansi Janatam. Friends, this is the spirit in which I wish to work together with all 1.38 billion people of India. And anything I can do, anything I can be of assistance in my personal capacity or as ambassador, I'll be very privileged, very honored. Once again, my sincere thanks to all of you, my good wishes and prayers for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to request Professor Bala Murugan to present a vote of thanks. And it was really wonderful listening to you, sir, and knowing the vision of our country and knowing the vision of our Prime Minister for enhancing knowledge and the efforts which you people are putting it to making dreams true. Thank you so much, sir. Now I invite Professor Bala Murugan, sir. Bala Murugan, sir.
Good afternoon, all. Good morning, our chief guest. So, as you all know, like all good things come to an end. So, is this 5 days globally FTP titled Unleashing Research Potential Global Trends and Practices is going to come to an end. On behalf of Galgotias University, I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this FTP organized by Office of International Relations. At this outset, I thank our chief guest, Honorable Ambassador of India to Ireland, Mr. Akhilesh Mishra, sir. It was really our personal concern to call you because we were following you in LinkedIn for almost several months and we were seeing your activities and you were so calm and cool, though you have back-to-back meetings and appointments. We really have to learn from you that yoga and meditation you were talking about, sir. And it was really good that you gave insights of how to come to Ireland, work there, options for entrepreneurs, how to come and work there. We are going to see the STEP website of Ireland, and we maybe contribute from Galgotia University, will be contributing towards it. And since we are connected, if any assignment is being given to Galgotias University, we will be able to do it, sir. On behalf of Galgotia University, I promise it. So, at the outset, I again thank our Honorable Ambassador of India to Ireland, Mr. Akhilesh Mishra sir. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. We are thankful to our Honorable Chancellor, sir, CEO, sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am. I would also like to thank our my co-organizer, Dr. Anamika Pandey, ma'am, who initiated and executed this event successfully, and the other organizer, Dr. Vandana Sharma, for her enthusiastic and voluntary support. And special thanks to the participant who attended all the sessions with good enthusiasm. Our heartfelt thanks to our PhD scholars for their active participations. And I also thank Mr. Dr. Joshua Thomas sir for joining again. I also thank my good brother and friend, Professor Celestine Ivandi from University of Bolton, again from UK, for joining us, sir. And with this warm words and kind message, we again say thanks to our chief guest, Mr. Akhilesh Mishra sir, Ambassador of India to Ireland. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable time.
Thank you. Thanks. All the best.
Just now, I would like to request Professor Manikandan sir to introduce Professor Celestine Ivandi, who is going to take the present session. Over to Professor Mani.
Good afternoon, sir. I am very much pleasure to explain about Professor Celestine Ivandi, sir. Professor Celestine Ivandi is a visiting professor with Goldsty University, Enugu, Nigeria, and associate professor with the School of Creative Technologies, University of Bolton, United Kingdom. He is also a fellow of the Higher Education Academy, United Kingdom, and a fellow of Institute of Management Consultants. Other assignments include adjunct professor, Delta State Polytechnic, Nigeria. His past assignments include senior researcher at WSN Consultants Limited, United Kingdom, electronics and sensor researcher, University of Aberdeen, United Kingdom, lead electronics engineer and electronics engineer, Nigeria, and college lecturer, Federal Girls Technical College, Nigeria. He received his PhD in electronics from University of Aberdeen, United Kingdom, MSc and BSc from NA University, Nigeria. He is supervising several graduate, MS and PhD students and a mentor to ASEAN student chapters at Sage University, Indore. His research interests include artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, wireless sensor networks and cybersecurity, etc. He has authored over 60 peer-reviewed articles. He has served as a chair on top conferences and workshops. Not only that, but he has delivered over 25 invited and keynote talks in 5 different countries. He is a distinguished speaker of ASEAN, senior member of IEEE, member of ASEAN, and member IEEE Computational Intelligence Society, senior member, Swedish Engineers, and member of Nigeria Society of Engineers, member of Smart Cities Community, and also IEEE member. He is currently serving as a newsletter editor and a board member IEEE Sweden section. Likewise, he is student branch counselor and mentoring several PhD students in AI, robotics, IoT, and blockchain. Furthermore, he has developed operational, maintenance, and testing procedures for electronic products, components, equipment, and systems, provided technical support and instruction to several organizations, He is a community developer and an international speaker in many top conferences and webinars. Thank you, sir. Yes, over to you.
I request Celestine Wendy, sir, to start with the session. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me today. Nice to listen to the Honorable Ambassador of India to Ireland. It's always a pleasure anytime I'm called to speak. You know, like they said, I do a whole lot of things in India. I'm supposed to be in India in Madaras next month and also in Rwanda next 2 months. So I have very good friends from India. So the conference has been, I've been following the conference, and it has been quite interesting to have this. This is one of the advantages of pandemic, of COVID. If the COVID did not come, we would not have this kind of ideas, that will cost us a little less, but we are able to reach out to every other person, and they have this big collaboration. So like I keep telling people, the pandemic is bringing creativity, like the ambassador said, is bringing creativity. How do we use it well? So I want to share my slide with you to show you the secret. Someone was asking me in short time, you've been able to make mark in research. What is a secret? It's not that I couldn't have done it far, but I had this biased nature about research. I felt those days I will write papers, it will be rejected. I will write, it will be rejected. And it was so much. And I was like, is it because of my color? Like the same color with, with the organizer. Is it because of my color? What is the problem? So I got discouraged because I know some of you will have that. Is it that you can speak English? Of course, I grew up speaking English, and then I started knowing what is the secret. But then when you get discouraged, it takes a whole lot to bounce back, to bounce back to reality, to bounce back to, active nature, to know why. So when I went to discover why, I now started seeing that one of them is what I'm going to explain to you today, how you can increase this research. It's not just that. I will also showcase to you how it actually helps in the ranking of your school, how it will help in the ranking of your school, how it will make your school, position your school in the top elevation of success that others can see and say, oh, this school is actually producing scholars. Just like the ambassador said, the world is in need of solution providers. If we are not ready to be solution provider, then we're not in research. But we are in research because we want to give back. We want to develop. The COVID brought a lot of, COVID tests, COVID, what do you call it, medications that should have been done earlier. If they were done earlier, like the ambassador said, because of ignorance. And some is, can I really do it? I know some people who are listening to me now, you're like, oh, I'm doing a PhD. It's difficult. How can I write? Where can I start? Who is going to publish? It's very expensive. These are all the things going on in your head, But then we have the same issue, but we came out to now have better papers. This is March. Already this year, I have 11 papers published this year alone. I'm not talking of last year. And someone said, what is the goal? No, I said the goal is to have 50 top publications by the end of the year. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible, because I have put the mechanism in place to make it happen. So let me share my screen to you as we go on in this fine topic. Okay. So I'm not going to introduce myself again because it's already done. So we'll try to bypass that. Okay. Good. Now, I think I'm also handling something for your school, in terms of, Ada as visiting professor with BIHA, and visiting professor in Veltech, and some other ones that I do, But like I said, there are three kinds of people, and these are the people that we have in the world. Those who create problems. There are people who create problems when others don't have the problem. they create the problem for others. Some people are suffering war now, not because they created the problem, not because they know what was going on. They don't know. But they're suffering because someone created the problem. And because others say, no, I don't want to agree with you. Okay, then let's go to war. Let's go and fight. And the ordinary poor people in the village don't understand what is going on. That is how the world is made. There are people who solve problems. There are people who come to look at where the problems are. And these are the researchers. We come in to solve problems. And there are others who sit down to watch the problems and their solution. They actually look at what is the problem. If you tell them there is a problem, they say, okay, as long as it's not getting to me, it's not my problem. There are others who just feel that life is made in such a way that they just live. They are just existing. They don't have any reason to exist. We meet these people when we do research. Sometimes when you take questionnaire, you see a lot of things coming up from them. How do we solve this problem? How do we look at what we have looked at and bring a solution to it? That is why my research is talking on how to understand research metrics and boost your H index. How to understand the metrics, how to understand the step-by-step method of how a good research is done. How then does it boost our H index? What is H index? These are all the questions we begin to ask ourselves. So in the outline I put up, we're going to look at the excellence about research. We're going to define what, in a simple, stupid sense, what is research. We're going to look at the creativity, like the ambassador said, creativity. We need maximum creativity. I lecture a research method. So I teach my PhD and my master's student what it is to do a good research, what you are looking out for, how you make a good paper, how you understand how a research should be. Who do you collaborate with? I know a lot of people say, oh, I want to be the only author. If you're a PhD student and you're listening to me, don't strive to be first author when you have your supervisor there, who is well known more than you. Most times your papers are rejected because you want to be number one. No, you need to earn number one. You need to work hard for number one in terms of your profile. If not, an editor-in-chief can look at your paper in the desk. They can look at your paper and just, even though you are putting 4 months, you are putting 3 months into that work, they just look at it and just dump it somewhere. The next thing is you get a reject. And I tell people, don't send in papers to special issue you have no connection. I'll give you a whole lot of hints how you make paper. You see a special issue advertised on my page, you just say, oh, Celestine is having special issue. Oh, lovely, because it's my friend on LinkedIn. Oh, you send it without discussing with me first. Because every special issue has number of papers that must be accepted from the journal. So I'm giving you this secret. So when you see something, the first thing you need to do is to reach out. Now, I have so many special issues as I'm talking now, and there are some special issues which are paid. I can take up to 500 papers. But there are some special issues that are not paid, free venue. This will also tell some school organization or policy that say, okay, my students will not graduate if they don't publish in free venues. You are killing your students if you give them that instruction, if you give them that mandate, because free venues are limited. Okay, I got one free venue. They said 35 papers only should be accepted. Rejection, that means 2% acceptance. In other words, accept 100 papers. I mean, let 100 people apply, and you only accept 35. Does it mean that the rest 65 are not good? No, because we are working with limit. We're working with the limit, not that the guest editor set up. We're working with the limit that was set up from the journal. Remember, these are free journal. So you don't sometimes blame them because they also don't have capacity. In other words, they don't have the capacity of staff because it's free. And free things takes time. I do tell people free things sometimes give headache. Give free thing every time you keep, I tell people, if you want to kidnap everybody, to surrender everybody in Sweden, just say I'm giving free coffee and free bulla. Bulla is free pie. Everybody will line up for the free, to come and eat the bulla in the morning. And then you can kidnap everybody by just that. Free thing causes problem. So what we do is we look at ability where we'll also see these top journals that are not free, Do we have capacity to handle it? Do we have the capacity to pay for the article publication cost, which we call the APC, for that journal? You see, so these are the things. I'll give you some inner secrets that some of you may know, and some of you may feel, oh, somebody doesn't like me. That is why the paper is rejected. No, because where you are sending your paper is just like job. A lot of you are not getting jobs, and you say, okay, I want to do PhD because I can't get a job. Oh, because you are applying for a job that has already been taken. The job is already, it's not in the market. The job is not there, but it's advertised. And then you go into and say, oh, I want to apply for this job. Oh, I am fit, I am qualified. Oh, my paper is good. Yes. Then you advertise. You go and apply. And then when you apply, you discover that you get a rejection. And something about rejection is that when it hits you, it hits you like someone who have headache. You're like, oh, and some days you'll be down. You're like, what is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Something is wrong with the system. So until you understand that, you will not bounce back to say, okay, now I'm not going, and then you go into depression. No. What you need to do, for me, before I apply, what I do, I call. I make a phone call. There was one job I saw in Sweden then. I made the phone call to I saw the contact person. I sent email. She did not reply. I made a phone call. I looked for a number and I called. I said, Professor, I saw this advert, and this advert, is very good. It's everything I have. He said, yes, I saw your CV. Take note, she did not reply me. He said, I saw your CV. Your CV is actually, but I want to tell you, don't apply for that job. And I'm like, okay, but you just said my CV is good. But you said, don't apply for that job because I have a candidate. Oh, she said, I'm just, she can't tell me that on written note because I could use it against the school in terms of writing petition. No, but she could tell me on phone. Now, what that has done by me calling is so that I don't bother myself applying and then get a rejection letter. Sorry, we have gone up with other candidates. So, yours, and then you're like, okay, the candidates are better than me. And then you live your life to feel that you are second class. You live your life feeling that you are not able enough. You live your life feeling that you can't actually do research. You see, but today I'm trying to change your mentality to tell you that you are the best at what you do. What you need to do is to be consistent in your belief system, be consistent in this. And everything you do in life has to do with research, everything. I tell my students, research proposal is everything, including marriage proposal. You don't wake up one day and say, I love this man, I want to go and marry him. No, you just jump on and go and marry her. No, you have to do some research. Even if your parents say, go and marry that from that family, you still want to know. If not, you have married a robot. When the man comes into the house and say, stand up, you stand up. Sit down, you sit down. Stand up, that is the person you have married. You need to do some research on your possibility of success, possibility of longevity. You see, so these are the things that also comes off in research. So challenging your creativity, very important. And not only just that, introducing you to how this citation is done. We look at the Web of Science, we look at the bias in science databases. Why can't they cite our papers that we have written in India, in Indus, or in Chinese, or in Afrikaans language, or in Swedish language? Why must it be in English? These are all the bias that we have in research. Then you look at the index, the sites here, the Scopus journal. Why do we use Scopus? Why is Scopus? Why do we have SCI? And then we look at bibliometric analysis. Then I'll give you what over 200,000 people have downloaded that I created, what I call the research proposal format of a good paper. And then we'll come into summary. Now, this is how it is. Research success, citation, and visibility is like this. Oh, you're like, okay, I am doing something, but you see somebody top-class researcher. You're like, when will I get to this place? It's just like this man who has a good girlfriend, who is also very beautiful. She's very beautiful. But no, it's just looking, someone is passing and it's like, wow, this is good. This is how research is. That you can look at your own H index and you're like, oh, okay, I'm just coming up. there was one particular job I applied for, and the professor said, Celestine, that was 2019 early. You have only 6 papers, top papers. Because you have only 6 top papers, we can't take you in this job, even though you have other teaching experience and other industry experience. And I told the professor, I said, by the end of this year, of next year, I will have double. Now, he called me last week and said, Celestine, you have more than 45 papers in 2 years. How did you do it? And I said, how I did it is because you challenged me. So I take no as an answer, as a challenge. Now in the school here at Bolton, they said, you have just come in, but you have made papers crazy. You make papers every time. How do you do it? I said, because I know this principle. Once you know the principle, you will be the person, you'll be this top class researcher, where every other person will be eyeing you. That is where we are going to. That is what I'm led this morning to analyze to you about research. Now, when we talk about research excellence, it's discipline specific. Characteristics of world-class researchers is that we are involved in shifting paradigms, creating new models of human understanding. I have told in Veltec, I told my students who I'm supervising in ProSy, and I told them, listen, if you keep doing survey paper, you cannot be a good researcher. A survey, every time your paper you are submitting is a survey, because you don't have any creative change to that research. You have to do research, not just survey. Survey will limit survey for me to literature review. Literature review that should be part of a good research paper. So you cannot shift paradigms and create new models if you keep working on survey papers. So my master student, I tell them what is a novel idea. Because some people say, Professor, there's nothing new under the sun. I say, yes. What else? And then how then do we get a new research? How then do we get a new topic? I said, good. What is your passion? That's where I begin from. And they say, okay, my passion is on cloud system. I said, good. Is it cloud what? System. What part of system? Cloud security. What part of security? Then they tell me, I said, good. Now, from your passion, because if I give you a topic, you will struggle with it. But if you make a topic from your passion, which we show them here in Bolton, if you get a topic from your passion, you always will push. What is passion? Passion is what you can work for, even when you are not paid to do it. That is passion. That's my definition of passion. Passion is what I can wake up early in the morning, what I can remember, even when I'm weak and I'm tired, I stand up to do. That is passion. Passion is me going out even when my body is weak. And I say, no, I must walk around because I love to walk around. That is passion. So passion, once you have a passion about a research topic, which you are going to do, then that is number one. Number two is to look at those papers. When you read a paper, what do you see in a paper? When I read a paper, I read the abstract, I read the introduction, which carries the contribution, I read the conclusion, which carries the future work. And I don't look at future work of 2019 or 1960 or 1940. No, I look for future work on a written paper that is my passion of 2021, 2022. So their future work means something they have not done that they want to do in future. So in other words, I could use that their future work, their paper will become my best paper, where I use that future work to analyze a new idea and move on with the idea. So I said, and how do you get a novel paper? Someone said, okay, for example, research excellence is clearly discipline specific. And I put it in Google. If I did not get the same word, research excellence is clearly discipline specific in Google, then that topic is novel. But you will get something, research excellence, maybe, and another word, inside. I said, those words are your references. Anything related to your topic, if your whole topic is not found in Google or IEEE Explore, that topic is novel topic. And my students started understanding it. They say, oh, this is what we mean by novel. I said, yes. Once my topic cannot be searched, and I get the same line of sentence, that topic is novel. And my students started understanding it. They say, oh, so that is what we call novelty. I say, yes, novelty is what you can do that others have not done before. But someone said, yeah, but they have done some part of it. I say, yes, because they have done some part of it, either in literature in method, literature in topic, or theoretical preference, those become your references. That means things you will use to write your literature review. So that is how you shift paradigm. That is how you create new models. Because I can look at your method and create a new method from your method. Then because of that, it helps us to also look at the holes, the weaknesses of those papers that you're using as your base paper. Then we now look at in the specific field what it is. Then, how do we define this research system as we are working on it now? Definition of research. According to OECD, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, we define research as creative work undertaken as a systematic basis in order to increase the stock of knowledge, including knowledge of man, knowledge of culture, society. How do we use this stock of knowledge to devise new application? So our purpose becomes, we want our university to grow. We want not only just we growing or looking for a job, no, it's also in the rankings. The research influence of a university is measured by the number of times that work by an academic at that university is cited by another scholar. So if the university is not producing lecturers who are being cited, what is it doing? It's bringing down the growth of the university. If your H index is not increasing, it's automatically affecting the university's ranking. That is why we encourage researchers, university, to work with students to have publication. Students working alone in publication will not be moved to add the university if the lecturers are not involved. So by involving them, what we do is we grow the ranking of the university, which is putting the university on top. Like I said, personal growth. The more research visibility and impact, the higher your opportunities for excellence. The more visibility, the more people will cite you. Nobody will want to cite you if you are not visible. How many of you are in LinkedIn? How many of you are connected to people in LinkedIn? If you are not posting your results, nobody will know. No, we don't post results because we want to show off. No, we post results so that others can look at our papers. Others can look at our research and then also cite us in paper. And then if I cite you in paper, as a friend or as a colleague, I also cite the other person in paper. At the end of the day, our citation is increasing. Now, technological growth and world recognition. For instance, last year they listed me as 2% top scientists in top scientist list, prepared by Stanford University and published in Elsevier. Because the more you publish, the more the system, the algorithm in the system is also picking. It's not it's not us who sent our names to this place. No, it's the algorithm to pick who are doing research. And then when the algorithm pick, our name happens to be there. And it picks around the world without anybody influencing anything. Why? Visibility of research, collaboration, the power of collaboration that can increase an H index. Now look at this system for the school. Now look at this, the methodology of word ranking. Teaching is 30%. The learning environment, in terms of reputation survey, staff to staff ratio, doctorate to bachelor's ratio, doctorate awarded to academic staff ratio, institutional income, 30%. Research is based, the volume, income, and reputation is based on 30%. That is reputation survey, research income, research productivity. Now, you see 30, and then we have citation, research influence. You see why citation H index is very important. A whole 30%. So if everybody in the department is writing paper, publishing paper, is going to increase by 30% the reward ranking of your university. So we're not just talking on personal growth alone, that your H index is increasing. No, I also give you how you calculate your H index. It's also in this slide. But we are talking about your citation, people citing your work because you are publishing. People citing your work because you are collaborating with others. People citing your work because your work is pushing up in Google Scholar, or or the other research scholar, ResearchGate, or Inoki. So now look at international outlook, 7.5%. In other words, having international students, you have staff international, you have students international, you have research international. Industry, you have link with industry. In terms of what we call knowledge transfer program, KTP, you have 2.5%. Now, see, my focus is, this is from the Times Higher Education. You see, this is how they calculate the metrics, how they calculate the metrics that help every university to move forward. H index is very important. That is where the citation falls in. Research and H index. You see, if we concentrate only on teaching, the same thing I told Boti when I came in. I said, we are known as good class, good university in terms of teaching. I said, if you do that, we can never rise more than others. We have to, diversify into research and citations. Once we have that, the ranking will be very fast. People will begin to wonder why the school is known, is new. Why is it they are suddenly high? Because of citation, because of research input and research impact. Then, like I said, when you talk about creativity, you talk about idea, you talk about research paper, you talk about disseminating research paper. Disseminating, in other words, where do you publish? How do you publish? Who gets to know what you have published? These are all the things that comes up in that area. Then you come into research steps. Look at the research steps, where we look at, let me get this thing down, where we look at what I call the simple stupid of making a research paper. We have the step one, where you have a question, you brainstorm, you have locate resources, you take note, then you organize, and then you bring up the step, and then you improve on the step. These are the steps. For anyone thinking, oh, research is difficult, I say, begin with these 6 steps. When you begin with these 6 steps, it gives you understanding of what you want to improve. It gives you understanding on what you want to supervise. It gives you understanding on what you actually want to do, And then you begin, it's a fun game that everybody works on to make it better. Then we have the citation system, that we do. A citation index, what does it do? It indexes the citations an article makes, linking the article with the cited works. So it was designed, for researchers to find subsequent articles that cite a given paper. We can say, okay, all our papers are working to this area, invented by Dr. Eugene Garfield, but now it's even more used for jobs. We say, what is your citation? How is your citation stagnant? There was a particular job I applied, and the man said, oh, the person who took it, he has very high citation more than you. So that becomes, a job policy, that the higher your citation, the higher your chances of getting a job. My students work with me in China now as a PhD student. He do a whole lot of publication with me. He came up with 25 papers after his PhD. And every job he applied, it was very easy. It was #1 choice. As I speak now, he's going to start in Abu Dhabi in July here, as assistant professor, without experience of teaching, but he's going to start there. Why? Because they want someone who has a very good knowledge of research and publication. And for a PhD student to have 25 top SCI, I'm not talking Scopus, 25 top SCI publication, then he knows what is, including 2 transactions with me. You see, so they felt, this guy is hotcake. He understands what he's going to do. So you check citation. We have the Google citations there, where you search citation. We have the Web of Science. We have the ResearchGate citation. We have ORCID's visibility. These are all the things that increases, your chances of getting a particular job. And then we have the indices, what the literature matcher, because it helps us when we use other people's literature is to, so that we don't replicate other people's results that has already been done. That's why we read. That's why we do literature review. So also helps us with plagiarism. We don't copy people's work. We don't copy people's diagram. We don't copy people's figures. We create the figures. Someone say, how can I wanted to use it. I say, yes, create it. It's against the law when I teach for my students to copy any figure. I say, recreate that figure, make it your own. When you recreate it, but cite the owner of, where you get the idea, but recreate the figure because it is not allowed to copy figures. Once I see it in any research, that research cannot go forward. Then we have, the ISI, where we index the linkages, cited and cited work like science citation, which we index, we call the SCI. We have the social science citation index, we call the SSCI. We have the arts and humanities citation, which we call the A and the ACI. All these are all created, a little more step, more than Scopus, what Scopus provide. So we do this indexing, provide a kind of limited to a single field. Then, like the ISI Web of Knowledge. For instance, if I want to search for a paper, to see whether the journal is a standard journal for me to send my paper, I check Web of Knowledge to see if it is possible for me to publish there. So they provide access to citations over 3,200 journals and over 1,400 for SSCI and others also. So it is weekly updated. Journals from 1986 and others are all there. They are all indexed there. So this is how we check from the ISI website, which is this. By checking here, we'll be able to see the bibliographical information, the topic, the author, the source, the address, how they are cited references, or whether you are using field or tag and combination. And then you begin to see the particular article you are looking for. You can also use that to search for your article, but you can use that more to cite which of the venues you have seen, whether it has impact factor. It has impact factor. So now the concept of citation, like I said, symbolizes the conceptual association of scientific ideas recognized by publishing research authors. But the references they cite in the papers will make explicit linkages. So you can say, okay, it's citing me, it's referencing me. Citing and referencing, we use the same kind of word for it. Important thing is that the papers are cited. So, and we also make sure once it's in the references, that the papers are also going to be in the write-up, because some people put references without putting it in the write-up, then they don't have any coloration. That is why I said citation and reference. The paper A, the paper R contains a bibliographic footnote using and describing paper C. Then we say R contains a reference to C, and we say C has a citation from R. And then we also say the number of references on the paper as is measured on the number of items in bibliographical and as end note, also footnotes, they're all there. Then the number of, of citation of paper as found by looking in the citation index and seeing how many papers are cited by that. Now, how do we know H index? We'll come down to that very soon after this Web of Science. Search current and retrospective multidisciplinary, which in the Web of Science, which is very important. This will give you much more. Most times, your scopus that you cite are not in Web of Science because they don't have impact factor. So if you see that, and if the regulation is you need to have a journal of impact factor, then go to Web of Science and search. If it is Scopus, then check Scopus, which you see also there. So you can navigate to and fro to find out what you're actually looking for, to be sure of the journal you are publishing or sending to. Once you are sure of the journal that you are sending or publishing to, it becomes easier to continue with that journal, or you look at another journal based on your requirements. Then we have the how you compensate. Why is advantage is that it helps us not to give subjective judgment to be made about relevant descriptors. It's also faster to know what we are doing, and then to limit to index terms. All cited references are indexed. Then we have the problem also, because sometimes it's manual effort during indexing. It's expensive, it's biased, and then only one possible solution, autonomous citation indexing. These are all the kind of problem that we have in Web of Science using that correctly. But then, like I keep saying, non-English language journals are not indexed in most of this. So it's a problem. It's only, why must it be English? So a whole lot of things in terms of international coverage is going on now. There's some idea, even though they are very good idea, but they cannot be in this area. I know most of my Chinese students, then they want to have their own, where because they can't express themselves much more in English, but their article, their papers is actually very good. So I tell them, use the Chinese version and then get it cited also. So we also have the recurrent criticism, journal selection bias by internal management decisions, like I keep saying, because the journal, they have given us restriction. They've given restriction to guest editors to say, this is the number of articles you have to accept. So it becomes very much, no matter how good your paper is rejected because you are working on this special issue, or because the journal himself, they want to have this record that, okay, we have reject rate, we have acceptance rates of 20%, to boost their ego, which is nonsense. It's actually nonsense because it's creating more problem for actual researchers who are doing good work to get their paper published. Then, lack of correlation between the cited authors based on that. Sometimes you see some authors, some people will give me a venue and they will tell me, okay, make sure that you put 20 of my papers. And I'm like, I'm supposed to put 40 references. It makes your research useless by going into an agreement that will kill your paper when anybody is reading it. So I tell them, sorry, I will look for another venue. I can't add 20 of your papers in my paper because it makes my article, it makes what I've written nonsense. And I have to look for a new venue. So these are all the things that come up because people want to promote their H-index by all means. And by doing that, they go doing the wrong thing. Now, we have the research index, as I mentioned, scientific literature digital library that incorporates autonomous, citation indexing, citation context, full text indexing, related document identification, query, sensitive summaries, awareness and tracking, citation graph analysis. This is for sites here that checks all this particular thing. So it keeps you informed. It keeps you informed of what you are actually doing at a particular time and so. Yeah, look at how it works. You download the paper, it's converted to text and pass, so store them in database. It's just like having a repository, which we also have here. We call it UBIR. We have in Bolton. The repository, once your paper is accepted, you send the final copy to your library. The library keeps it so that students can have access to it, before it is finally published. So that's the first thing we do when our papers are accepted. So we have a whole stock of repository, and then you also help the school to arrange to know when they are submitting for ranking, school ranking in terms of research productivity of the school. So it helps them, the system helps to bring up, okay, this is number of papers from University of Bolton, from any of the school, and then it helps with the ranking. And the school keeps moving on, in terms of the point that should be gotten from there. And then we have it in, so a lot of people are using sites here, document acquisition for this to get it done. Why? Or document passing to also get it. Like I said, we are using a repository. I don't know what your particular school is using, but these are meant to help boost the ranking of the school through H-index. And then some use querying and browsing also for this system. Now, the advantages of them are different. The important thing is that all of them are citing the papers that you need to move up, and there is no restriction. But there's some disadvantages that some journals will not want you to advise, especially free journals. Free journals, if you do not pay the article publication cost, they will tell you don't push it out anyhow because you have signed a contract, so that they make money. Most of my papers are £42, £43, and nobody's giving me anything, and yet they're making money just because I signed that it's going to be published free. Because it's going to be published free. Now, before anybody read my article, they have to pay. for that article. Even myself, I can't access them sometimes, you know, and I'm like, okay, we are working for others to benefit. But they will tell you, okay, then you pay for the cost of production so that it can be free. The more your paper is free to produce, or you send them to ResearchGate, if it is not free, people can cite you. If your papers are not online, nobody will read it to understand and cite you. So that's why we also make sure that we have our papers cited for people to quote us. You know, I want to run quickly to like the Scopus journal. I know most of you are on Scopus. You know, regulation in your school like produce Scopus paper and then get it. But if you can write Scopus, you can also write SCI. Simple. You know, because SCI, all SCI are in Scopus, but not all Scopus are in SCI. All SCI journal SSCI are in Scopus, but not all Scopus are in SCI. It's very rare to see an SCI who is not in Scopus, you know, but all Scopus are not in SCI because SCI means they have impact factor. So sometimes you see a journal who doesn't have impact factor, so you understand that. Now, so Scopus journal is also very good, you know, for at least research-based, and it's also widely spread out like the others. I'm trying to come up to something now, you know. Okay, I think before, yes. Now, this is what I call research proposal flowchart. If you want to work on your research, first is this, you can't think of H index increase without thinking of how will I make the paper that will give me H index increase. You know, I know you have been doing that the whole week, so I'm not going to go one by this, but I put it here for you to understand. This is what I call simple, stupid formation of research methodology, you know, where you have the what, why, how in research question, we have literature in topic, literature method, theoretical approach. This is exactly what I teach my master's and PhD students and what they follow. Ability to understand the methodology in terms of what is the goal, you know. Once they answer all these questions, they are done. That means the research is ready. And then you have, you know, like I said, how do you read novelty? You read novelty, you read the title, you read the keywords, you read the abstract, you read the introduction, you read the conclusion, you browse through the paper, you know, and there are many places to do. This is how you get novelty from the paper. I explained it at the early stage. Then, now I'll come into H index now. You know, there are several ways to boost your H index. More mature researchers collaborate. Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. The more people you know, the more the channel of miracles. The more people you know, the more your H index will increase. The more you collaborate with others, the more visibility you will become. So go, if you are not in LinkedIn, you're wasting opportunities. Look for people, add them, tell them you want to work with them, and then you want to publish with them. That's how it starts. And then all of you work together. This is where your work will be known, you know, where your people will cite your papers. Choose your journal carefully. Top journals, look for those journals where you publish, where they have H index. Publish open access. In other words, let people read your work. Not that they have to pay £42, $42 to access your work. Let them read your work. Think about your audience. If you are writing, who are you referring to? If what you are writing cannot be understood or read, nobody will cite your papers. People are saying, why do you have in 1 year, you have almost 200 citations in one paper? I say, because I looked at the audience while writing. Network, network, network. I've said it. The more people you know, the more the channel of miracles. Network with people, not just in your field, network with people that are not in your field. Now, technology has gone in such a way that anybody that can collaborate with anybody. You can collaborate with people in agri, you can collaborate with people in medicine, you can collaborate with people in engineering. You can collaborate anywhere and get your solution out. Work on your writing. I've given you the steps by step that you need to do a good write-up research proposal. Show up on social media. Now, what is the H index? H index initially is an author level metric that measures both the productivity and citation impact of the publication of a scientist or scholar. Look at this. Very simple way of knowing H index. If I have 17 papers cited by 17 times, 17 papers, 17 times they were all cited. it means I will have H index 17. That is why people who have low H index, who will have low citation, but they have consistency, all their papers. Don't go tell your friends, cite my first paper, and your first paper will get to 1,000. And other papers are 0. It means you have H index 1. So when you tell them to cite your papers, to read your paper and cite your paper, make sure that they read and cite as you go. So 17 papers cited 17 times will give you 17 H index. Simple calculation. 5 papers cited 5 times will give you 5 H index, even if one of them is 1 million. Because that 1 million is just one paper. So, but if all your papers are cited the same time, 17 times for 17 papers will give you 17 H index. 15 times for 15 papers will give you 15 H index. Even when you are not up to 1,000 citations in general. But this is how it is calculated. And the more it is calculated, the way it is calculated that way, the way it's also boosting your school in their own calculation. So summary, increase your publications, increase your research visibility, increase your collaboration, establish center of excellence, research. That's what I'm trying to do, establishing our center of robotics, AI, and cybersecurity. Then have venues. Like I told you, I have venues for 500 papers. So if you want to collaborate with somebody, you have good paper, check me out on LinkedIn or ask your organizer, they will connect you to me. If you have good papers, good figures, and less plagiarism, contact me. You make word influence and network using LinkedIn. Encourage your master students to have one top publication. This is what I've told my master student. One top publication is because it's going to help the university ranking, and you also empower your community in terms of business. This is my thank you dance, and I will take some questions if anybody has. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor, for addressing our audience. Thank you so much. The participants are very excited and they have given a nice feedback for your talk. Thank you so much.
If 7 papers, somebody said if 7 papers cited 10 times, is 7 H index.
Yes.
Like I said, the 7 papers cited 10 times, each is
Yes.
7 H index. You can't be more than the number of papers that is cited. Okay.
So we are open here for the questions. If any questions are there, please post your questions on the chat window. Did you ask this? So the session by Professor Celestine Avendi. Okay, there is one question. Professor, can you please elaborate on ways and how a student or an upcoming researcher can collaborate with mature researchers, especially when he's just learning and not yet an expert in his field?
When I started research, I wrote to a lot of people. Nobody replied me. Nobody replied me. But it did not get me discouraged. You know, one of my students that spoke, one of my Dr. Ebuka, you know, he spoke in this program. He wrote me, and I replied. And he was like, you are the first professor that has replied me in many months. Nobody replied him. And he has worked with me. Now he has 8 top papers. So he was very happy, you know, so he has been following me. Now he works with me. He's another university in Aberdeen. in Robert Gordon University, So there are people who are looking for people who can work with them, and people are people like me. And when you write me and you can work, I tell my students, don't choose me as a supervisor if you are not ready to work, because I work, I don't sleep much. So I work. That's why this year already I have 11 papers. You can imagine. See the goal. With all the places I teach and all the things I do, I create time for research. So if you have that tendency to do research and you can work, I will make sure you will be in the paper, and I also make sure your publication, you will not pay for it. I'll make sure it's paid for, and I'll arrange that for you, and you have your publication. But you must work, and you must know letters. That was use overleaf, because I use overleaf a lot. Overleaf means we can collaborate, we can be working together online, and it also helps to arrange your work very well, not just in Word. Sometimes Word, we just throw your graph here, throw your figure here, but overleaf letters helps to arrange your work in such a way it will help you do well. So as a student, write them. You may see, oh, he's a very big person, he doesn't have the time. No, sometimes he will reply, So, but look out for them. How you look out for them? LinkedIn. Add them in LinkedIn, add them in LinkedIn, and then send them a message. Oh, I want to work with you. I have some top papers. Make sure your paper is quality. If your paper is quality, if you see your paper, if I see quality paper, I won't let you go. So that is where the motivation that will push me to assist you. If you're also very good in technical terms, in code writing and all that, I'll give you work to test your mentality. And once you're able to pass that, then I'll take you into the team. I have lots of teams that are working.
Very well said, sir. You have explained, and in one word, you have given the mantra, the mantra of how to actually do things, even if you are a naive or even if you are new to the research field. It's just the collaboration. You need to collaborate, you need to try with a very positive approach. Thank you so much, sir, for your inputs.
Now thanks to Professor Rivandi for his informative session. As we can see, the feedback from the participants in this chat box, because in a very simple manner, he explained so many things which seems to be very complicated for us. Because yes, the first hand, we get perturbed whenever we get the rejection from any journal for publication of any paper. And people get disheartened because after 3 months or the 4 months, they get one email, okay, I'm sorry, we are not able to accept your manuscript for so-and-so reason. And then the person is start searching for a new journal and fighting, okay, whether it is Scopus Index, what is the impact factor of the journal. But sir has provided a path, how to move ahead and how to approach the way so that the publication can be done. And also he throws light on the various aspects of the research. We are very thankful to the participants, because it was a long 5 days and they took time to attend this FDP. And their feedback is very essential for us, so that in future we could improve maybe the topic or the content, and we can ask the speakers as well, so that they could address all the issues which is being provided in the feedback. And thanks to Dr. Vandana Sharma, and because yes, she was very busy and we requested her to spare some time and just taking care of all the sessions and taking care of all the coordination part. And we are very thankful to Vandana Sharma ma'am, and we are thankful to our top management for the support and the guidance. Professor Celestine, or personally, I would like to ask one thing, because yes, in the management area, I am from management, School of Business Management, and we found that collaboration is very tough. And every time, many of the journals these days, you know, they are rejecting papers saying it is not having a blend of technology or so. Although many of the concepts which is purely lying in the management thoughts or the theories where corporation of the technology is not, incorporation of the technology is not essential. So how one should move ahead in such type of issues, because our researchers face lot of problem for such type of things. Can you please suggest us some?
Yes, it is on what you are working on. There's what we call qualitative research and quantitative research. For every engineering, there is element of qualitative research. It's just like saying, okay, Manchester United football is better than Chelsea Football Club. There is no quantitative, there's no measurement of goal, except when two of them plays. So you are doing qualitative research, you see, where you have to do questionnaire, where you have to do interviews, you have to, you know, take notes, or you send in for people to one-on-one interview and that. But when we do research, we do quantitative research where we analyze based on numbers, based on figures. We don't just have the kind of a positive argument or emotion to say, okay, it's going to be like this. But you know, in management, all of you will be thinking, okay, it's going to be like, it will feel like this because you are working with qualitative. So what the journal is trying to tell you is get some data, you know, that you can use SPSS, for example, for, you know, to analyze. By using that SPSS, you are putting a bit of quantitative analysis into your research. Use bar chart. You know, I told one of my students who is in law, I said, use bar chart. You already have data. You know, bar chart shows a specific explanation of your work. So anybody see it, they're like, okay, this is bar chart. Don't just put a table without putting a notification of that table. And what I tell people about graph is graphical representation of your idea. Be creative, be you know, sometimes I draw something crazy, you know. When you have a complex figure backing your idea up, no journal will reject it. I'm not talking of just drawing a circle line. No, make your figure. And what is a figure? A figure is graphical representation of your idea. So whether it is engineering, whether it is computer, whether it's management, that idea you have, make it graphical. And then have a step-by-step method of that. So if you have a step-by-step method, which is the flow chart, so they'll see, okay, you have the decision board, you have that, even though it's management, and then put your questionnaire and all that, put them in bar chart. So if anybody's looking at it, they're already seeing the SPSS form or seeing a kind of a statistical calculation of your management already there. And once you have that statistical method of that, there is no way a good journal, remember I told you, the paper may be rejected because there is no opportunity to publish. But in a place where you have an opportunity to publish, the EIC, the editor-in-chief, will also say, oh, this is a good paper. So even when you have the opportunity to publish there, editor can approve that paper to be published. But the fact remains. Another one is ability to also work with someone in another field. So don't say, oh, because I'm in management, I cannot work with someone in engineering. No, everything is going now interdisciplinary. So you can actually work with someone in engineering to help you analyze some things that may be difficult for you. Things you may think, oh, it doesn't need quantitative. Like I'm now showing you that everything is quantitative. You see that? But you need someone who has that knowledge to come in and make that input. So by joining with someone who has that knowledge, it will become easier, you know, because you can't do everything. You just do your part, I do my part, I do my part, a paper is formed. That is how I do paper. Now, there is one paper I just created. In 1 week now, they told me the paper is ready. Because everybody do your own part, you know. So, but if you want to do all, this is where we have the problem. So look for people who can say, oh, I have the concept. Have you done the literature review? You have the concept. Have you done that? Have you done this? Once everybody comes together, and remember, the law that governs paper means once anybody has contributed to that paper, his name will be in that paper. You understand? So when everybody contributes, of course, then you have a paper publication. So nobody will be saying, oh, it's management, oh, it's engineering, it's agric. No, the result they are looking for is embedded in that. And that flow chart I gave, make sure you go through it again. You see it analyzes every research, not just engineering, not just computer science, every research. And a lot of people abuse it and everyone became successful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You have explained seriously. You have explained in a very simple manner. And see, yes, qualitative research, definitely there are many softwares are available where again the certain kind of analysis is being asked. Otherwise, just a adopting qualitative method and then any paper is being developed and getting it published, getting very tough. So thank you so much for your guidance, and definitely we will also tell our researchers to follow your advice because they are attending this session and would be useful for them.
One student is asking, we should not focus on survey research. Survey research is like, it's not really a survey. You are talking of a survey paper. If you're a good researcher does not just stay on survey. Survey, this another word for survey is literature review. That means you have no impact, you have no input. It's other people's paper you are analyzing. And sometimes survey, why it's difficult, you can survey 100, you can read 120 papers. And then because the survey actually needs longer references, unlike normal research that says like 30, 35 references. But survey needs more. So you do a whole lot of work on other people's research without you actually getting the result of that research out. So I tell people it's easier, you do survey as a literature review to your idea of a paper, because survey is very difficult to accept, very difficult to accept in journals, because the requirement is very tough. Even when you have done a whole lot of work, but it's very difficult to accept.
Thank you so much, sir. Is there any other question from any participant? So I request Professor Balamurgan to finally conclude for this session and for this FDP as well.
Thank you, brother, Professor Celestine Ivandi. Thanks for being with us. And it is a great thing that many of the universities in India are going for QS ranking, and it's very important to boost up our citation index. And we have got a lot of insights because we haven't attended anything like this before. We usually used to attend on papers, patent and publication, but not on this publication citation index. That was very good. Thank you once again. And thank you all the participants for being here. We have shared your feedback link and other certificate generation link. Please fill. And if you do have any doubts, please mail us. You have our email address, or we have also given our WhatsApp number. And we will also be sending to all the 1,000 participants like data regarding our call for book proposals and other thing. We are doing a lot of books with our brother Celestine Ivandi also. So we will be sharing with you, because this is a way of generating an ecosystem. We have got the email IDs of you. So we'll share our book proposals where you can write chapters, our special issues where you can publish your quality papers and other things, other events coming up. So be connected, and also make sure you also be in touch with this participant so that you will get to learn from you and be from you. With this, let's close this FDP on. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.